Welcome to Mohandes AI IT session. Thank you all for attending tonight's session. I hope you will enjoy the engaging topic of AI and the construction industry که تأثیر عمیق هوش مصنوعی بر صنعت ساخت و ساز، تحولات تاریخی مشاغل در میان پیشرفت‌های تکنولوژیکی و تبدیل بخش ساخت و ساز سنتی کار فشردگی به طور فزاینده‌ای توسط هوش مصنوعی و اتوماسیون هدایت می‌شود. First of all, I would like to say a special thanks to our hardworking board members and advisors, مهران محقق, فرانک شجاعی, لوبت معقول, and all other friends at Mohandes to make this event come together. With a special thanks to our valuable guest speaker, Mehrdad Kolour, who is engaged in this topic in his daily work and explorations and accepted our invitation in a very busy and engaging work and life. Just a few points before we start. For new members and guests that are present tonight, first we'll start by a short intro about Mohandes and the special groups that we have. The next thing is our speaker is kindly open to hear your questions in Farsi as well, and we'll do our best to translate in English if it's necessary. Please use the raise hand button during the session, as Mehrdad will kindly take your questions during the speech as well, if you have any urgent points or questions. Otherwise, we'll have question and answer later on. The session will be recorded as it is right now for future use and reference, and for those of us that may not be able to attend the session tonight. If you have any issues with that, you may want to turn your camera off just to keep your privacy. The speech will take approximately 1 hour. Then we may have 5 minutes of break before moving to question and answers period. So how are we doing so far? Any questions, any thoughts? If not, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Sina Fouzi, a previous board member, a present lead facilitator for our AI IT. And I help Mohandes in a variety of ways, including newcomers activity, career exploration, outreach, facilitation, volunteering in events, and anything else I could help out. My work is a combination of consulting, facilitating, and counseling with individuals and teams in developing solutions and effective communication and teamwork. My background, science from France, Bachelor of Computer Science from York University here, and I attended Master of Information Studies at U of T. I have a diploma of career and work counseling and certified personality assessor, group facilitator, and life coaching. I'm a Canadian level tennis coach as well. So this nice weather really is amazing for me. I work as designer, system programmer, analyst, system analyst, team lead, college instructor and program developer, coach, community and economic developer, employment assessor, developer, facilitator. In few words, I facilitate designing solutions and ideas. And one of the best way to reach me is by my LinkedIn account under Sina Fouzi account. Few words about Mohandes.com. At Mohandes, we promote professional activities for Canadian Iranian engineers and architects through holding seminars, workshops, such as this one, seminars and networking events and volunteering. Promote Canadian Iranian perception in the local, national, and global communities, provide guidance and mentoring to newcomers, recognize outstanding academics, engineers, students, and entrepreneurs, and establish professional and cultural relations with other organizations. Feel free to join Mohandes.com as a member, mentor, mentee, volunteer, newcomer, student, or professional supporter and contributor. I just very quickly, in addition to AI IT group that we are organizing tonight's program, we have the following active groups as well that each they organize their own amazing seminars and programs. Agriculture, natural resources, architecture, construction management, civil and construction, electrical and computers, uh, mechanical and industrial and aerospace, material mining. Our website, mohandes.com, and you can reach us by kanun@mohandes.com. Or please find us on almost all social medias. Okay, a short summary of our program for tonight. In this presentation, as we delve into the profound impact of AI on the construction industry, we'll unravel the historical evolution of jobs amid technological advancement and witness the transformation of traditionally labor incentive construction sector into a domain increasingly driven by AI and automation. در برنامه امشب خواهیم پرداخت به تاثیر عمیق هوش مصنوعی بر صنعت ساخت و ساز، تحولات تاریخی مشاغل و تبدیل بخش ساخت و ساز سنتی که به طور فزاینده‌ای توسط هوش مصنوعی و اتوماسیون تغییر میکنه. And please let me go through the summary bio of Mehrdad Kolour, our valued speaker tonight. Mehrdad, a manager of technology and license, OAA architect, specializes in the seamless integration of technology, construction, and architecture. Having completed his undergrad studies in architecture at Iran University of Science and Technology, Mehrdad further honed his skills at the University of Calgary, where he received his Master of Architecture degree. Following his academic journey, he had the opportunity to work at some of the renowned architectural firms in Canada, such as Hariri, Pontarini Architects, WZMH, and Canon Design. Shifting gears, he recently entered the construction industry by joining Matheson Constructors as the manager of technology. Notably, Mehrdad is actively cultivating an interest in artificial intelligence. His eagerness and hands-on experience with diverse data sources, including building information modeling, financial and construction operation data, underscore his dedication to staying at the forefront of technological advancements. His exploratory journey enriches Mehrdad's profile, ensuring a continuous trajectory of growth and innovation in the dynamic intersections of AI, construction, and architecture. By that, I am honored to invite Mehrdad to start his seminar. Mehrdad, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Sina, for the introduction and all the kind words. And I'm very excited, and thanks to the Kanun for giving me the opportunity to present at tonight's event. And I hope you all like. I mean, I should also mention that, I know it's a presentation, but as Sina mentioned, feel free to ask any questions along the way. And it's I would like it to be a little bit of a conversation, let's put it that way, because I'm also learning. And I know we all come from various backgrounds, and let's keep it as a discussion. I'll go through the slides. Feel free to stop me at any point and let me a question, and then if I know the answer, I'll say it. If not, hopefully someone else would know the answer, or if not, then we'll take it for like food for thought. So without any further ado, I want to just to start with this slide. AI anxiety. I know these days as soon as you have any discussions about AI, the first thing people say is that, are we going to lose our jobs? Are we going to are all the bad things are going to happen? You know, the computers or the robots are going to come and, you know, they destroy everything, and that's it. That's the end of the humanity. So there are two type of groups when it comes to this question. There, you know, the main group, the first group, I would say, is those who say, you know, no, you know, it's not a bad thing. It's good, and it's kind of like in line with the previous technological advancements in the past decades, in the past century, which and then I know back in the days when automation came up, there were anxieties about, you know, whether people are going to lose their jobs because now, you know, the machines are going to take over. But that didn't obviously happen. We all have jobs, and the number of job increased. But on the other hand, the people who have this anxiety, they say that, you know, yeah, you know, in the past, the machines and everything came up, they came to sort of like replace, sort of like help the human being to achieve their tasks, you know, to bring more efficiencies. But when we're talking about AI, they're sort of like replacing the human being, because, you know, now computers can make decisions, they can have feelings, they can, you know, they can respond to any questions and all that, which is still a valid point. I think I'm more with the first group. I think this is sort of like you know, the continuation of where we're going. At the end of the day, you know, all these technologies are out there to serve the human being, right? And I can also, sorry, just minimize this one. Where and looking at the past 50 years, you can clearly see that, you know, the number of employment has increased, and not only increased, but also there are more equality in terms of, you know, bringing different genders into the workforce. And as you can see, you know, this, I think the red line is for you know, the employment for men, and now you see, you know, that the women employment the rates are increasing as the year goes, and then they're kind of like contributing to the growth with equal sort of magnitude. And that kind of, you know, and I think this is going to keep moving in the same direction with in different sectors, especially specifically in construction, because historically it's been an industry dominated by men. And now with the advancement of technology, new tools, and, you know, automation and robotics, you know, there are more opportunities for different groups to be involved in construction. And there's always this sort of dynamic effect, which is called the offsetting effect, that as the new technologies come, some of the jobs start diminishing, and some of the new jobs come, you know, sort of emerge. Looking at the construction in the past 20 years, you know, you can see the list of jobs. This is just like a few to mention that are sort of diminishing. You know, there's no, like, the drafting is sort of like going away, the manual drafting, or the traditional ways of surveying. I know we still do it in here and there, but it's sort of going away, as, you know, now drones and more advanced, you know, tools can easily do the same tasks faster and with more accurate outcomes. And then there are new jobs being created, like, you know, BIM, building information modeling, or VDC specialist, which is virtual design and construction, sustainability consultants, you know, construction technology, fabrication, and these are all like new jobs that are coming along. And I'm sure if you look at the list in 10 years, there's going to be new items added to each of the list because of the advancement that we're going to see as a result of AI. This is sort of, you know, I mean, going back to the first discussion that we had, whether, you know, are the computers are going to, like, to the question of whether the computers going to replace us as human being. You know, let me put it this way. At the end of the day, you know, we're using computers or any tools out there to work with, to provide a service to another person, another entity, right? And there are various reasons for that. Let's say, you know, just to name one would be like from legal point of view, right? You can't, like, if a computer does something wrong or something illegal, are you going to put the computer in prison? Probably not, right? At the end of the day, it all comes down to the human being um, and what kind of services you're providing, and who is receiving that service is still a human being. And then the AI is sort of like there to enhance that, to make it more efficient, make it more accurate, and sort of take over the jobs that were supposed to be done manually in the past, and now they can be automated. And us as human being, we can focus on the stuff that matters the most. We can better use our time and be more efficient. This is an interesting chart that I found when I was searching for this presentation specifically, and this kind of lists, all the tasks that are going to be affected by AI. And I've highlighted two areas. The management, which sort of like relates to sort of construction management. And on average, looking at all industries, 25% of the current tasks can be automated by AI. But when you look at the management, it's a little bit more. But the construction is fairly low. So we're looking at 6%. So still there's a lot that needs to be done on the construction side to help automate the tasks. And there's a lot of opportunities. And I'm sure as the years come, there's going to be more companies, especially software companies, focusing on what kind of tasks, what are the tasks that can be automated within the construction and sort of extraction industries. And also there are a few more here that I'm not going to cover, but all I'm saying is that, I guess as some of these sectors are being sort of occupied by the AI, there is still a lot of opportunities on the other side of the spectrum where, AI and new technologies can help and to make more efficient, and therefore, there are going to be new jobs created, within those sectors, and there's going to be that kind of like constant shift where new the demanding tasks will take over all the required resources, and that's going to keep going on. So when we are talking about AI in construction, I sort of divide it into three categories, and none of these categories are new. So analytics, automation, and robotics, they've been around for years. But now with the advancement in AI, there's now more opportunities that these three can work together and help us, and kind of like enhance each other. So I'm going to start with the analytics. And so analytics in construction, when we talk about analytics in construction, we're talking about the historic data and how we're going to use our data to better forecast for our projects, for the construction projects, for a cost analysis, resource and allocation, and scheduling. I want to give you a few examples about just what we do here this specific example is what we do here at Matheson Constructors. And we, for the analytics, what we do, we basically have different softwares that they have their own analytics, but we can't necessarily use them. We use them to some extent, but when it comes to connecting different softwares or grabbing the data from different software, from different databases, there are tools like Power BI, they come in handy. So you can basically take the data from different sources, bring them and put them together and have better insights, and not just look at one area, and also sort of and be able to expand that sort of database into multiple platforms, and even use public data to help analyze the data better and be on top of the numbers. So the example that I'm showing here is just our PM report. So we have this PM dashboard for our project managers, and at any point they can come in here, see their projects, see the progress of their projects, look at the financial information of the jobs, see if the jobs are healthy by looking at the profit, the forecasted revenue. And the data that you see here is coming from at least two sources. One of them is our accounting software, and the other one is Procore, which is our construction management software. And in order to get this, like I mentioned, we use Power BI. And I know for the fact that now Power BI is, I don't think it has that AI, generative AI element into it, but I know that's something that Microsoft is working on, and eventually there's going to be better analytics and also some sort of like automations in terms of bringing the additional data that may not be within our database, might be a public data or another source of data, and it'll basically create that opportunity to do all the analysis all in Power BI while using the generative AI. There are also other tools when it comes to analytics. I've heard of Tableau. I haven't used it, and there are a few other examples. But at Matheson, we use Power BI. I should also mention this. When it comes to analytics and using tools like Power BI, we're talking about the data that's structured. So the data that's stored in a database, and you have the same. For the same information, you have the same field. Let's say if you're talking about the start date of a job, it's just same field for multiple jobs. It doesn't matter like how many you have. And that's sort of like a structure that you keep. And it makes it easier for you to do the analytics based on the structured data. And that's something that's been around for a while. But now with the emerging of tools like ChatGPT, and I know there is in construction, there's this Copilot that Procore, which is a construction software company, is working on. And what these software do, and the main selling point for them is that they can look at unstructured data. You can look at the emails, any PDF documents, any notes, any information, essentially the pictures, images, or videos, anything that you take, and you can sort of like analyze those and give you outcomes that could be stored in database and could be used for decision-making purposes. And in our case, to give you an example that we are going to be working on is on our monthly project management PM reports. Right now we have narratives. We ask our project managers to give us the narratives based for various items such as the profits, the project schedules, and those are typically text. And it's fine when we look at one job, you can just go and open that, look at the PDF, we could look at the narrative. But if you're talking about the 50 or 100 jobs, then going through all of them and trying to kind of get outcomes or get insights from those is going to be a challenge. And in those cases, we're looking at integration with ChatGPT so that once we have these narratives, we can push all of them to ChatGPT and ask them to analyze those and give us insight, list all the risks that may come up in the next month or in the next year, or if there are any insights about the profits or any claims or any of those data that may not necessarily be available through our structured data. In construction, when we're talking about analytics, I guess you cannot talk about the VR and AR and the image processing. Right now, in the old ways, when you were in order to understand how much a project has progressed for billing purposes or for any other purposes, you had to kind of go through, do a walkthrough, look at the work that's been done, compare it against the drawing, which is typically in PDF format, or if you have even a 3D model, you need to go back and still compare it. But with the advancement of these softwares that rely on AI, you just need to wear a hard hat with a camera attached. You just do a walkthrough, and what it does, it basically understands the context, and it knows that there's here in this case there should be a ductwork here, and it will basically quickly cross-reference that against the model and it'll tell you whether that duct has been placed, whether it has the right size, whether it has, and how much of that work has been done, and quickly give you a summary that you can use for your billing. The other thing the that's sort of like becoming mainstream in construction is the use of drones. And so like getting the aerial data from the job sites, looking at the topographical information and be able to compare it against the drawing and see like if they are doing excavation, are you doing it to the right elevation, or calculating the cut and fill, whether you need to bring more materials to the side or whether you need to take the materials out of the side. And those type of analysis are all done by these sort of like VR and AR tools that are sort of emerging these days. And they're getting better and better as with the advancement that we see in the AI. And for those, who want to be within the field of construction, this is something that I guess eventually, um, as a as a project manager or as a project coordinator, you need to sort of get into learning more about these tools as they can provide a lot of efficiencies for the jobs. In summary, when it comes to analytics, there are a few things that I want to mention is that, I know we all like the discussion these days is about like data and how important the data is. As it's good to have access to a lot of data to in order to have better decisions. But there's a caveat to that. I guess when we're talking about data and analytics, you have to be careful on to know the context, right? And not every data is useful. You need to know what kind of data you want to include. Is it a local data or is it a global data? If you're, let's say, doing a cost estimation or a cost analysis for a job that's located here, in a small town in Ontario, I guess you're probably you want to more look at, the local data as opposed to the global data because, things would be completely different, uh, but in some areas, yeah, it might make sense to look at the global data. But it's always good to know like what computers are using or what you're analyzing, or when you see a result from a computer or from an analytics software, just to know like what kind of data is using and whether those data are relevant and how much risk is involved, and always have that sort of human touch because not every information necessarily is in the computers, right? There are discussions that you might have with the client that there might be any, there may not be any records, or you might personally know the client, in some cases, or could be any other examples, and those are just the human touch. So you can't just have the computers export the data and provide it to someone else and say, what, take it. There's always that kind of percentage where the human being, can as a human being, you can go in and um, um, improve the data in a way that is more tangible and more understandable and more relevant to the clients and to the other sort of party who's going to be looking at your data. So moving on, I'm gonna see how much time I have. 6:30, so hopefully I'll finish it in 1 hour. I guess I'm probably right on time. The next component of AI is the automation part, and the automation is happening within different areas in construction industry. I mean, I would say in the design and construction industry. And starting from design, this is probably what we've seen the most, and especially since last year, the uh, sort of like the generative design that comes out from tools like ChatGPT or Midjourney, where you can basically give them some examples and some descriptions, and it'll basically give out the outcomes of, in this case, like buildings that look like anything except buildings, but they are still building. And And I know for the fact that, some companies have already started using these. And just like here, it's a small example for interior design companies who use this software, this tool, Mid-Journey, to create their mood boards. Just so you know, the mood board is basically a board of a collection of materials that you want to use in, let's say, a space, let's say in a lobby of a condo building or a hotel. And typically you pick the materials and then you just lay them side by side, and you see if you can, if these colors sort of, can create that harmony that you have in mind. And now AI is sort of like replacing that process. So you just give it, the example, another example of the mood board, and then what you have in mind, or what's the space. You just need to describe it well, and it'll basically spits out the mood board. So there's a lot going on in the design, but it's more on the sort of like imagination, I would say. When it comes to the documentation, there are some tools there, but they're more like, I would say, not as crazy as, what you see in the design. So this is one example. It's the architectures. It's a software where you can quickly get layouts for, let's say, a mid-rise building or a tower. And what you need to do is just like draw a line and work with these parameters to get the layout for your floor plans, and then be able to extract it and bring it to your design authoring tool to be able to adjust it and manipulate it to address any other requirements. So this is fairly useful for, let's say, doing quick feasibility studies for client. We don't need to spend that much time. The client, sometimes they have this piece of land. They want to see quickly like what they can achieve if they were to build the mid-rise residential tower. So you can, take that, bring it here, and just with a few lines and, play around with some parameters, you can get a decent outcome. And then another important item in construction is the project scheduling and planning. Construction is obviously happening. It happens in the actual environment, and there are a lot of factors that get that are involved within scheduling, and there are a lot of things that could go wrong and that can push everything back in terms of the deliverables and timing. And for, let's say, large master plan projects that sometimes last for 10 years, imagine how critical it will be to put together, first off, put together a schedule for those jobs, and also be able to update it as things change throughout the course of the project, right? And so for those type of jobs, typically you have to assign at least, like 4 or 5 people working full time for a few months in order to get the schedule right. But there's this company, it's called N-Plan, and they're based out of UK. And what they have is they have this tool that uses AI to sort of like give you that schedule, give you the critical path for your project, and specifically for large master plan project. And they claim that they will basically, instead of 4 or 5 people sitting down for a couple of months to put together a schedule, this tool can do it in a day or a couple of days with much more accuracy, and it can factor in a lot of data, including the environmental data, the available resources, and they have some secret sauce that they didn't share with us, but they say that they're pretty confident, and it can also give you the risk involved. So if for let's say for any critical path, they can give you like how much risk is involved if we were to go that path, or if any of these tasks that you have in your schedule, if any of them goes wrong, how much impacts those tasks are going to have, and it gives you a full analysis. And which, I mean, there's going to be probably more of these tools. Right now, the focus is on the larger projects, but I'm sure as years go along, there's going to be other software or the same software might be available for smaller jobs as well, which is something that, we, anyone in the industry should have an eye out for these type of tools. Another important part of in construction is the quantity takeoff and estimation. And again, AI is it's sort of revolutionizing that. So you don't need to necessarily go through each drawing or each document to have to take off the quantities. You can basically give the drawings to the computers, and then they're smart enough to understand where the rooms are, or if you have equipment on the drawings, they're able to sort of like read those drawings and give you the quantity with a high level of accuracy, and which is sort of like a very which can save a lot of time for quantity takeoff, and also to make sure that as a contractor, if you're bidding for a job, you can bid with more confidence. Another important aspect of automation is on the safety side. So I know there's software out there that can look at the images or look at the videos that are installed on the job site and be able to recognize whether there are workers there or if there are equipments there, and be able to kind of like lay out the danger zones without you even being involved. And you can just quickly see, like, depending on what kind of tasks are being performed, you can highlight the areas where there might be risks, and then the safety managers can go in and address those risks based on what they see in these software. So again, there is a huge opportunity in construction safety with the emerging of AI that can automatically detect these, any potential hazards, and contribute to the safety of the job sites. So in summary, for automation, I guess it's good to always like acquire newer skills, and some of these automation tools that we discussed can create like new roles for in different companies. There's more like cross-disciplinary. They open a lot of doors for cross-disciplinary actions. Right now they know the, let's say, to give you an example, as contractors, we can now use these tools to provide some like high-level architectural services to the clients by using just the AI tools. Or there might be new roles that may come out of these tools with the added automation. And it's good to like cultivate the soft skills, problem solving skills, or be able to um uh sort of like understand the interactions of different tools and opportunities in what to automate and what not. Because I always say this, with every task that we do, in the technology department, that the first thing that we do is just whether it will make sense to use computer or just to automate a task, or it's faster to do it just manually. Because in some cases, yeah, it might make sense, to just do it manually and get it done and be done with it. But in most cases, the answer is probably no, because let's say the type of jobs that we do are keep coming back. You do the same task for one job, but that's not going to be the last job. There's going to be a next job. So you have to kind of like look at the what you gain from doing the automation, and compare it against how much time you will spend or how much money you spend to benefit from that automation, or to put together systems. And that's an important skill that to have, to be able to have that kind of mindset, to always check and make sure that what you're doing, there's a benefit to it. You're automating tasks for a specific reason, and if there is no reason for any task to be automated, let it be manual, right? So, and the last piece of the puzzle is the robotics, which is an interesting topic. And there's in the recent years with the advancement of AI, the robots now can perform a lot better, can quickly analyze their surroundings, and be able to respond to it in a sort of like a live mode, kind of like a real-time mode. And to give you a few examples, I'm going to start with 3D printing. So now, the concrete work in construction is typically it's a very, very time consuming work, because you have to have the framing, and which is expensive, and there is this weather. So if the weather is not good, or then it will add to the complexity of the concrete work, and you're always limited. You can have some some flexibilities in terms of the form, but the more you make things complicated, the more expensive it's going to be. And but there's this company, it's called Icon. They're based out of, I think they're based out of Houston, Texas. I don't know, somewhere, I think, in the States. And they have these giant 3D printing machines that are used for pouring concrete. So now you can see, as you can see in these examples, now with these technologies, you're not limited to the formwork, because there's no formwork. So you can have any forms essentially within the limit of these 3D printers, and they can do the job so quickly. So as long as you have the machine placed there, you just feed it in with the design, and it starts going around and layer by layer printing these the concrete, like pouring the concrete layer by layer to get the geometry. And I was listening to one of their podcasts, and they're saying that now they have to educate the architects and then the contractors that they're not limited to straight lines, because these printers now can print anything. You don't have to go straight, or you can come up with any forms, because um by doing that, is nothing changes. The robots, they have to go around. It doesn't matter for them if they go straight line or if they go in curve. It's going to be the same amount of money, the same probably amount of material, but it will open a lot of doors in terms of like what you can build essentially, and how fast they can build. And they're claiming that, I think, for a house, they can do 3D printing in a day or two, just for the concrete, which is quite amazing. And I'm sure there's going to be more advancement in the coming years uh, for 3D printing. And I don't know, in Canada, I don't think I've seen any 3D printed house, at least on the exterior. Maybe there are some elements in the interior for installations and all that might be used, but there's a lot of opportunities in 3D printing based on what I've heard and what I've read. Drones, we already talked about it, but drones not only can like capture like videos or do point cloud scanning, they can also perform tasks, as you can see on the left image. You can use like drones to, in this case, to tie up the rebars. And tasks like this can be automated, and especially with the advancement in AI, now these drones can be aware of the schedule. They can know what needs to be done. They can know what's going on in the surrounding, and they can correspond. They can correspond to any conditions that they're working in. And we're going to talk about robotics in architecture or in construction. We cannot talk about this company, the Boston Dynamics. Every conference, every construction conference or architectural conference that I attend these days, and I've attended in the past few years, at least there's been one or a couple of these robots, especially the one on the right side, which is called, I think, a Spot. And as you can see, these robots can understand what's going on around them and be able to quickly respond to any unexpected events. Here on the left image, you can see that the guy is kind of like pushing the robot, but it's able to keep the balance. And it's just like an example to showcase, but it's important in construction, because when you're leaving the robots in the job site, there are a lot of unexpected things that might be on the way, and you want the robots to be able to understand those and be able to kind of like make a decision on the spot and change the path, find a way to get the task done in the most efficient and also the most and the safest way. And these robots, I mean, some are doing that right now, and I know they're being used for some safety actions. They're also being used for like capturing the progress in the job sites, and I'm sure there's going to be more advancements in the coming years. So, in summary, when we talk about robotics, I think it's always good to know what kind of softwares are out there in the industry. In this case, in the construction industry, we're talking like robots, like the Spot robot that I showed in the previous slide. And just knowing the hardware, I think, is one part, and obviously the software will come with it. And not every job will require a robot, I would say, at all, and not every company would have the resources to bring in robots. But there's always those low-hanging fruits, what you're doing, maybe just using a drone for sort of a small task might be a starting point, and just to get exposed to what these robots can do, and also understand the cost. Again, how much money you're spending on the equipment or on the software, and how much return you get on your investment, and also understand the risks. There's safety risks, and there might be I don't know, like bylaws or anything, or any other rules that might prohibit the use of certain hardware within certain job site, or in different sectors there might be other standards, regulations, and all that, and it's always good to be aware of those. So I believe that was my last slide, and with that, I'm going to first thank you all for for listening to my presentation, and open it up to any questions.
Thank you so much, Mehrdad, for this wonderful presentation. It has so many amazing sides and angles to it, and I'm sure it will bring so much, new thoughts and ideas. Thank you so much on behalf of everybody.
Oh, my pleasure.
خسته نباشید.
خواهش میکنم.
I would like to ask you if you would like to have a few minutes of break before we get into questions, or you are okay with just jumping into, question and answers. It's up to you. If you
I leave it. I'm okay to stay here, but if everybody else wants to take a break, for sure, we can take a quick break. I'll leave it up to you.
So you are okay with no break?
Well, I'm okay if everybody else is okay. I guess we are pretty warmed up, and want to just keep the momentum.
Okay, so if Farnak John, if there is no objection to that, we can just move ahead without any breaks. That everybody is okay? I guess everybody is okay. All right, that's wonderful. Okay, so please go ahead and raise your hand if you have any questions. We already have 2 or 3 already set here. So if I think Farnak was the first one, if I'm not mistaken. Please go ahead, Farnak.
خیلی ممنون، متشکرم. من به فارسی سوالمو میگم. توی قسمت آنالیتیکال گفتید
فرانک جان ببخشید ما رکورد استاپ نمی کنیم، یوزولی برای کوشن استاپ کنیم.
استاپ کنم. بسیار
Oh, thank you, Loba.